let's do some notes on the reassembly of the T669. Since we got him painted up just the way we like him, he's going to be number 1300. Basically, because he has 1300 horsepower. Kind of. So, if we ever get another one, it'd be like 1301. And I think it turned out really nice. Looks a little dirty, but this is a T669. And T669s do dirty jobs all over the world. And they have for a long time. And there's still many of them out there. So here it is. So this board on top, we took them off so that we could do some detail work. And we took this plug out. This is the DC plug. It goes into these pinholes here. Now we're going to put them back together. I didn't want to do anything because this is the first one I've ever had. And this is a really, really upgrade Roco compared to our regular Rocos that go back to the 70s that we have. But it's still kind of, you can definitely see the lineage in Roco's construction methods. So it's got its platform across the top, and you know how we love work platforms. We make our work platforms. Here's one. Here's a work platform right here for the Rev 1 motor. This has got a work platform, and I didn't want to, like, there's no reason to remotor or anything. It runs great, but in the future we might run across one where we're going to remotor it. So we had to have a look under the circuit board, and what we found is that this board here is an awesome circuit board compared to, here's the light board, one of the two light boards for our holiday special, which is almost done. This thing has LEDs all over the place. There's a cab light underneath here. When you put this on, lock the cab in first. There's LEDs all over this thing. This thing is fully lit. And if we ever had to do one where we had to wire it from scratch, we would definitely need to make, probably our work platform would be straight up PC board. We'd make a big old long PC board and do everything that way, just for the future. But we take the DC plug out, and we have the decoder for this that is DCC. I didn't want to put the sound decoder and everything in here because there is very little room up in here to put speakers in, and we'd be working on this forever to get it in service. And we got to get him in service, and we got to find out how he runs, and we got to learn a little about using ESU decoders, which we don't know yet. So we've got him. Now I'm going to point out a couple things on the reassembly. One, the cab. Let's find our point. Okay, the cab. Here's the cab interior. When you are replacing this whole business, the cab interior snaps in place. So put that on first. The other thing is these pieces of tape right here, they're all around, and they make life kind of hard to get them to not crumple under, which we don't want. But that's what these tweezers are for. Okay, now take a look at these wires. These are definitely not my favorite wires, but to go in here and rewire all that, it's not necessary for this. It just isn't. So we've got them up here, and you need to use your tweezers, and they lock down with these 4 screws. Okay, they're locked in place, and you got to remember there were springs here that go down to motor brushes under here, and so those are in there now. And there's 2 different ones. It's easy to figure out which is which. You don't have to worry about that. But the main thing that you need to know is that there are so many. There's 1, 2 extra circuit boards. Then this top thing has got lights. The top one here there's circuit boards with lights and all kinds of stuff. And then there's lights here. There's a light in here. And so this circuit board, it's very well set up. Very nice. So we're going to use the plug-in DCC decoder for this, and we're going to try to program with JMRI, which should work just fine. I went through the list, and it should be in there. So now, getting these wires up here is a little tricky. You're going to need to use your tweezers, and then we solder them back to these pads, which we'll do, and then we'll put it back together. And then once we have that done, really all we have to do is put on a couple of these detail things, these parts and these couplers. Put the couplers and those parts back on, and then we're ready to give him a test. Otherwise, he's all painted up and he's ready to go. So that's where we're at, and pretty quick here. I'm going to show you now. Putting these parts back is really easy. They'll snap into place, and there's a diagram that comes with it. Take care of that. So we're almost ready for this guy. And then we'll think about what jobs would a T669 do. It's very similar to an RSD-12, which is one of our favorite locomotives of all time. You know, I've had it out here. They're very close in size. The RSD-12 is a little bit taller, but other than that, they're very close in size, horsepower, and the other factor is that RSD-12s are lightweight. And we'll talk about how I know that from Chicago and Northwestern tested RSD-12s on their old Elko line, and they used them for quite a while. They got them from Norfolk and Western. And so we're thinking that this locomotive should have similar work to do, where you would need something like the RSD-12, where an SD9 or an SD7 might be too big. And as if you know your C&W stuff, you've seen SD9s and 7s where the fuel tank, there's two fuel tanks on the bottom, and one of them is missing because they need to be lighter weight. That's this guy. That's where he comes in. That's how he got here. And so we're going to get them together, and then we got to do some testing.